It's Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. You're listening to the DX Today AI Daily Brief. Today, OpenAI closes the largest private funding round in history at $852 billion. Anthropic scrambles to contain a massive Claude Code source leak. And Oracle begins laying off up to 30,000 employees to fund its AI pivot. Let's get into it.
OpenAI has completed a staggering $122 billion funding round, valuing the company at $852 billion. Amazon led with a $50 billion commitment, while NVIDIA and SoftBank each contributed $30 billion. Notably, $35 billion of Amazon's pledge is contingent on OpenAI either going public or reaching artificial general intelligence. The company now generates $2 billion in monthly revenue, with ChatGPT serving over 900 million weekly active users. In a first, OpenAI also raised $3 billion from individual retail investors through bank channels. The round cements OpenAI as the most valuable private company in history by a wide margin and signals an expected IPO later this year.
Meanwhile, trouble at Anthropic.
Anthropic is racing to contain fallout from an accidental source code leak of its popular Claude Code tool. A 59.8 megabyte JavaScript source map file was inadvertently included in version 2.1.88 of the Claude Code package on the public NPM registry. Within hours, the roughly 512,000-line TypeScript codebase was mirrored across GitHub and analyzed by thousands of developers. Anthropic called it a packaging error caused by human error, not a security breach, and said no customer data was exposed. But in an awkward twist, the company issued takedown notices against roughly 8,100 GitHub repositories before retracting most of them. The leaked code revealed a feature flag called Kairos, pointing to a daemon mode that would let Claude Code operate as an always-on background agent.
Now to a major restructuring at Oracle.
Oracle has begun one of the largest layoffs in its history, cutting between 20,000 and 30,000 employees worldwide to redirect $8 to $10 billion toward AI infrastructure. Employees across the United States, India, Canada, and Mexico received termination emails from Oracle leadership at 6 a.m. local time. Reports indicate roughly 12,000 workers in India alone were let go. Senior engineers, project managers, and technical specialists are among those affected. The company's stock has slipped nearly 25% since the start of the year, as investors remain uneasy about massive capital expenditure on AI data centers. Oracle had announced plans earlier this year to raise up to $50 billion through debt and equity to expand cloud capacity for customers, including NVIDIA, Meta, and OpenAI.
Turning to a big chip deal.
NVIDIA is making a $2 billion strategic investment in Marvell Technology, opening up its system to let Marvell integrate custom AI chips and networking equipment on the NVIDIA platform. The partnership spans custom processing units, networking, silicon photonics, and next-generation wireless infrastructure. By opening its NVLink interconnect through a new Fusion platform, NVIDIA is working to prevent commoditization of its high-speed standard while maintaining control over data center architecture regardless of whose compute silicon is being used. Marvell shares surged more than 13% on the news. The deal signals NVIDIA's strategy of deepening partnerships across the AI supply chain rather than going it alone on every component.
Now, some record-breaking funding numbers.
The first quarter of 2026 shattered all venture capital records. According to Crunchbase, investors poured roughly $300 billion into 6,000 startups globally, up more than 150%, both quarter over quarter and year over year. AI accounted for approximately 81% of all capital deployed. 4 of the 5 largest venture rounds ever recorded closed in Q1 alone, led by OpenAI at $122 billion, Anthropic at $30 billion, xAI at $20 billion, and Waymo at $16 billion. U.S.-based companies captured 83% of global venture capital, up from 71% a year ago. The concentration of capital in a handful of frontier AI labs is unprecedented in the history of technology investing.
From funding to the physical footprint of AI.
A new study from the University of Cambridge has quantified what researchers call the data heat island effect. The paper, published on RSA Visual, found that AI data centers raise land surface temperatures in surrounding areas by an average of 2 degrees Celsius once they begin operations. In extreme cases, the warming reaches up to 9.1 degrees. The effect extends as far as 10 kilometers from facilities, with a 1-degree rise measurable at 4.5 kilometers. More than 340 million people globally live within the impact zone of existing data centers. With capital expenditure on data center construction predicted to reach $760 billion this year, the environmental implications are growing fast.
And a supply chain vulnerability exposed.
A Bloomberg investigation reveals that America's AI data center expansion is deeply dependent on Chinese electrical equipment imports. Delivery times for high-capacity transformers in the United States have stretched from roughly 50 weeks to more than 120 weeks. Meanwhile, some Chinese transformer factories are already fully booked through late 2027. In Abilene, Texas, more than 6,000 workers are constructing a massive data center for OpenAI that will consume 1.2 gigawatts of power when completed. Tech giants Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft are collectively committed to spending more than $650 billion this year on data center projects, all of which require this hard-to-source electrical infrastructure.
Shifting to public sentiment on AI.
A major new Quinnipiac University poll paints a complicated picture of how Americans feel about AI. 55% now say AI will do more harm than good in their daily lives, up 11 points from last April. 80% express concern, and 70% believe AI will reduce job opportunities, with Gen Z the most pessimistic at 81%. But here's the paradox. 51% of Americans say they already use AI for research, writing, and work. Yet only 21% trust AI generated information most or almost all of the time. The survey highlights a growing tension between rapid adoption and deep skepticism that could shape both regulation and consumer behavior in the months ahead.
Now AI and misinformation.
Today is International Fact-Checking Day, and researchers are sounding alarms about the scale of AI-generated misinformation. Since the United States and Israel struck Iran on February 28th, an unprecedented wave of false and misleading images created using AI tools has flooded social media platforms. A group of accounts on X that regularly post AI-generated content collectively gained more than 1 billion views since the conflict began. Experts say the speed and volume of synthetic imagery now far outpaces the ability of fact-checkers and platform moderation systems to respond. The trend underscores how geopolitical events have become accelerants for AI-powered disinformation campaigns.
Over to infrastructure expansion at xAI.
Elon Musk's xAI is scaling up its Colossus supercomputer cluster. The company is expanding the facility from 1 gigawatt to 1.5 gigawatts of power capacity this month, a 50% increase that will make it one of the most powerful AI training installations in the world. The expansion comes as xAI prepares for its next-generation Grok 5 model, which is expected in the second quarter with a reported 6 trillion parameter mixture of experts architecture. That would make it the largest publicly announced model ever. The current flagship Grok 4.20 Beta 2 already features a novel multi-agent system with 4 specialized sub-agents working in parallel, an approach that reduced hallucinations by 65% compared to earlier versions.
Next, AI security funding.
10x, a Google partner specializing in AI-driven security services, has raised $250 million in new funding at a valuation exceeding $1 billion. The The round underscores growing enterprise demand for AI-powered cybersecurity as organizations face increasingly sophisticated threats. 10x's platform uses machine learning to detect and respond to security incidents in real time, and its Google partnership gives it access to cloud infrastructure at scale. The funding comes amid a broader surge in AI security investment, as companies race to protect the very AI systems they are deploying from adversarial attacks and data breaches.
And finally, Meta's spending spree.
Meta Platforms is facing growing investor anxiety over its massive AI infrastructure build-out. The company's capital expenditure guidance for 2026 could reach $135 billion, part of a broader strategy to position itself as a leader in the AI arms race. Despite a consensus, strong buy rating from analysts, shares have cooled to the 525 to 570 range as Wall Street weighs record 2025 revenue of over $200 billion against the sheer scale of spending. On the product side, Meta's anticipated Llama 4.5 model, codenamed Avocado, is expected to focus on complex reasoning capabilities that could make Meta AI a serious contender for professional and enterprise workflows.
That's your briefing for Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. For DX Today, stay curious.